In this video, we are going to talk about how to achieve anything with delusional self-belief. Now, let's first talk about why most people stay small and call it being realistic. Now, people call their limitations realistic. They have convinced themselves that playing small is noble, accepting less is mature, and anyone who dreams bigger is delusional. Now, this is a psychological defense mechanism that protects their ego from the discomfort of admitting that they have been settling for less than they are capable of. They make mediocrity sound virtuous and ambition sound foolish because it is easier than facing the truth that they have been living beneath their potential. Now, realistic is actually the biggest delusion. What they call realistic is limiting themselves to a microscopic fraction of what is actually possible. The irony is that people who pride themselves on being realistic are living in the most unrealistic worldview possible, one that denies the infinite creative potential of consciousness and reduces all possibilities of to what has already been done before. They mistake the past for the future and call it wisdom. Now, your five senses only perceive 0.035% of reality. Conventional reality that your senses can detect only accounts for about 0.035% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. This means that literally 99.965% of what exists is invisible to the physical perception. Yet, most people base their entire understanding of what's possible on this tiny fraction. It is like trying to understand the ocean by looking at a single drop of water. Now, what appears logical is a tiny fraction of existence. Everything that seems rational to your finite human mind is literally just a microscopic slice of what truly exists. Your logical mind operates within the constraints of past experience and known patterns, but reality operates from infinite possibility. Logic is useful for navigating known territory, but it becomes a prison when you're trying to create something that has never existed before. When someone calls your vision delusional, they are revealing their limitation. They are essentially saying, I can only see 0.035% of reality, and your dreams don't fit in the tiny box that I have personally constructed. Their criticism isn't about your vision, it's about their inability to perceive beyond the limited scope of awareness. They are not projecting you from disappointment, they are protecting themselves from the discomfort of expanding their worldview. The real question isn't whether you are being delusional. The question is, are you going to limit yourself to their 0.035% or tap into the vast 99.965% of unseen reality where infinite potential exists? This is a choice between living in the world of effects, which is what already exists, or living in the world of causes, what you can create. Most people choose the safety of the known 0.035% because it feels secure, even though it guarantees limitation. Now, let's talk about what delusional self belief actually means. It is not about losing touch with reality. True delusional self belief is about touching a higher reality that most people can't see. It's about operating from a frequency of possibility rather than probability. You are not ignoring reality, you are accessing a deeper level of reality that transcends physical appearances. This higher reality is where all creation begins. It is the realm of pure potential before it crystallizes into form. It is aligning with your God self, the version of you that operates from infinite potential instead of finite limitations. Your God self knows no lack, recognizes no impossibility, and operates from abundance consciousness. This is not about ego inflation. It is about remembering your true nature as a creative being made in the image of infinite intelligence. When you align with this aspect of yourself, you tap into the creative force that builds galaxies and grows forests. So, how can you cultivate this delusional self belief? But first of all, it requires giving up the need for logic. You must give up needing everything to make sense to your logical mind because your logical mind can only comprehend the tiny 0.035% slice of existence. Logic is based on past data and known patterns, but creation requires stepping into the unknown. When you insist on understanding the how before you believe in the what, you limit the universe to only the possibilities that your mind can conceive, which is a small fraction of what's actually possible. Your left brain demands proof. It wants everything to be logical, rational, and provable. It asks how and when and demands evidence before believing anything is possible. This is the analytical mind that excels at processing known information but struggles with infinite possibility. It wants guarantees before it can commit to believing, but creation requires faith in the unseen. Your left brain is a wonderful tool for execution, but is a terrible master for creation. Now let's talk about the right brain. Now the right brain creates proof. It operates from the spiritual, emotional, and infinite realm. It doesn't need proof, it creates proof. It doesn't ask how. It assumes the how will reveal itself. This is your intuitive, creative consciousness that understands the language of possibility. It knows that belief creates evidence, not the other way around. Your right brain operates on knowing rather than hoping, which is why it has access to solutions your logical mind could never conceive. So, to manifest anything significant, abandon logic. You must be willing to give up the logical, give up the rational, give up needing things to make sense. This doesn't mean becoming irrational. It means becoming supra-rational, which is operating from a higher intelligence that transcends linear thinking. Every great breakthrough in human history came from someone who was willing to believe in something that didn't make sense to the logical mind of their time, right? The universe operates beyond human logic. Universal laws transcend what your logical mind can accept or understand. Quantum physics has shown us that reality operates in ways that defy common sense. Particles can be in multiple places simultaneously. Observation changes outcomes, and consciousness appears to be fundamental to physical reality. Now, let's talk about the universe runs on a placebo effect. Your profound conviction, when combined with intense emotion, literally activates reality and causes it to shift. Just as a placebo pill that has no active ingredients but produces a real healing when the patient believes it will work, your reality responds to your beliefs with measurable and tangible results. The universe doesn't distinguish between real and imagined belief, it only responds to the intensity and consistency of your conviction. Just like placebo pills work through belief, a placebo works because the patient believes it will work. Your reality responds to what you believe with unwavering emotional conviction. Studies show that placebos can produce same physiological changes as actual medication, which can be reduced pain, improved immune function, even structural brain changes. This proves that belief alone has the power to create physical reality. Your entire life is essentially a placebo response to whatever you believe most deeply about yourself and the world. Now, this is not religious faith. This is faith in its original meaning, which is confidence and a state of knowing. Religious faith often requires believing despite evidence to the contrary, but metaphysical faith is about knowing something so deeply that external evidence becomes irrelevant. It's not blind belief, it is inner knowing that transcends the need for external validation. This kind of faith is based on understanding universal principles, not on hope or wishful thinking. Now let's talk about the difference between hope, belief, and faith. Hope says maybe it will happen. Now this is wishful thinking without conviction. Hope keeps you in a state of uncertainty and wanting, which actually repels what you desire because you're focused on not having it. Now belief says, I think it will happen. Now this is stronger than hope, but still it contains doubt. Belief wavers depending on circumstances and external evidence. Now faith says, I know it has already happened. Now this is absolute knowing that transcends circumstances. Faith operates from the end result and works backwards, assuming success and allowing the path to unfold naturally. Now, your subconscious is the womb of reality. It only responds to the level of knowing, not hopes or even beliefs. Your subconscious mind is where all manifestation begins. It is the creative faculty that translates your internal states into external appearance. It is the creative faculty that translates your internal states into external experiences. Like a womb, it gestates whatever you plant in it with emotional conviction. But it only accepts what you know to be true, not what you hope or think to be true. So, which means only absolute emotional conviction matters. Your subconscious doesn't care about your hopes or beliefs. It only cares about what you know to be true with absolute emotional conviction. Emotion is a language your subconscious understands. It is the energy in motion that gives life to your thoughts and transforms them into reality. Without emotional conviction, your thoughts remain powerless mental activity. With emotional conviction, they become creative commands that your subconscious mind must obey. Now let's talk about the you must be it first law of the universe, which means you can only have what you already have vibrationally. This law frustrates everyone because it means you must be your desired reality before the external world validates it. Your vibration is your energetic signature, the frequency you broadcast through your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. The universe matches this frequency by bringing you experiences that resonate with it. If you're vibrating at the frequency of lack, you will attract more lack. If you're vibrating at the frequency of abundance, you will attract more abundance. There's no way around this law. So, if you want to learn more about how you can tap into this abundance frequency and work with me one on one, then check out the link in the description. Now you must feel it before you can get it. Feel wealthy before you get money. This means embodying the emotions, confidence, and ease that come with financial abundance before money appears in your bank account. Feel loved before you find your soulmate. This means cultivating self love and the feeling of being cherished before someone else shows up to mirror that back to you. Feel successful before you achieve success. This means operating with confidence, clarity, and inner knowing of someone who has already accomplished their goals. But most people have the sequence backwards. They think, when I get the money, then I will feel abundant. When I find love, then I will feel worthy. When I succeed, then I will feel confident. This backwards thinking keeps them trapped in a perpetual state of waiting for external conditions to change their internal state. But external conditions are always a reflection of internal states, not the cause of them. Waiting for the outside to change the inside is like waiting for a reflection to smile before you can smile. So the real sequence is you align with the feeling of already having it. This requires imagination, visualization, and emotional cultivation to generate the internal experience of your desired reality. You think from the end, acting and feeling as if it has already materialized. This means making decisions, speaking, and behaving as the version of yourself who already has what you want. Your identity, focus, and emotional conviction match the desired reality. Everything about your inner world aligns with your vision, not your current circumstances. The external world rearranges itself to match your internal state, and reality shifts to reflect your new frequency, often in ways you could have never planned or predicted. So let's actually define what manifestation is. Fulfilling your desire internally and no longer being dependent on external reality. Now, this is a small tweak to Nero's definition, but this is how I understand it, right? So, true manifestation happens when you feel complete and satisfied with your desired reality internally, regardless of what your external circumstances look like. When you reach this state, you're no longer trying to get something from the outside world to feel good. You already feel good, and the outside world becomes a reflection of their internal fulfillment. So, waiting for reality to change keeps you stuck. If you're waiting for reality to change to feel good, you will stay stuck in a state of needing. This creates a perpetual cycle of dissatisfaction because you're always focused on what you don't have rather than generating a feeling of already having it. The external world can give the external world can only give more of what you already are internally, so waiting for it to change your internal state is futile. And needing creates a gap. The state of needing creates energetic distance between you and your desire. When you need something, you are focused on its absence, which is exactly what you will continue to experience. Need is a repelling force that pushes away what you want because it is rooted in lack consciousness. Desire without neediness is magnetic. Need without fulfillment is repulsive. Now let's talk about why physical action is overrated. Most people think success comes from grinding harder. They believe physical action is the answer. Work more hours, take more classes, network more, hustle harder. Now, this is the Protestant work ethic mentality that equates effort with results. People think that if they just push harder and sacrifice more, they will eventually break through to success. But this approach often leads to burnout, frustration, and mediocre results because it is focused on force rather than flow. Physical action exists in the realm of effect, not cause. It is the lowest level of consciousness with the lowest impact on actually changing your reality. Physical action is what happens after internal alignment, not what creates it. When you try to change your life through physical action alone, you are working in the realm of effects while ignoring the causes. It is like trying to change your reflection by adjusting the mirror instead of changing your posture. So let's talk about the hierarchy of impact. Now, the lowest impact is physical action. which is what most people focus on. This includes trying to work harder, trying new strategies, networking, taking classes, working on your funnel, etc. While necessary for execution, it is ineffective for creating breakthrough results when not aligned with higher levels. Now, the medium impact is mental action, which is changing your thoughts. This involves changing your mindset, beliefs, and mental patterns, more powerful than physical action because thoughts direct behavior. Now, the highest impact is emotional and energetic alignment, which is changing your frequency, which is what I help you to do, right? Now, this is about shifting your entire energetic signature and vibrational state. This level creates the most dramatic and lasting changes because it addresses the root cause of all external experiences. Now, you cannot outrun your frequency. No amount of physical effort can overcome misaligned energy. Your frequency is like a radio station broadcasting your internal state to the universe. If you are broadcasting lack, struggle, and limitation, that's what you will attract regardless of how hard you work. You might be you might achieve temporary success through sheer effort, but it won't be sustainable or fulfilling if your frequency doesn't match your goals. Now, you cannot outwork your state of mind. Your internal state determines your external results, not your effort level. A person operating from abundance consciousness will attract opportunities with minimal effort, while someone operating from scarcity consciousness will struggle for every small gain. Your state of mind creates your perception, which creates your reality. No amount of action can compensate for a misaligned internal state. But aligned frequency creates effortless action. When your frequency is aligned correctly, it leads to the right intuition, which compels you to take right actions that feel effortless and natural. These are inspired actions that come from inner guidance rather than force or should do's. They feel energizing rather than draining because you are moving in harmony with universal flow rather than against it. So work doesn't feel like work when aligned. You are moving with the current instead of against it. When you're in alignment, effort feels like play, and challenges feel like opportunities, and obstacles become stepping stones. This is because you are working with universal laws rather than against them. The universe supports aligned action and resists forced action. Now, some people seem to have everything handed to them. It's not luck, it's frequency alignment. These people have learned to align their internal state with their desired outcomes. So, opportunities flow to them naturally. They are not necessarily more talented or hardworking, they are simply operating from a frequency that attracts what they want. What looks like luck to others is actually the result of consistent internal work and energetic alignment. Let's talk about your self worth. Your self worth is your reality ceiling. Now, your self worth acts as an energetic ceiling. It limits everything you can materialize in your reality. Think of self worth as a thermostat that regulates how much good you can receive. When external circumstances exceed your internal set point of worthiness, your subconscious mind will always find ways to bring you back down to what feels familiar and safe. This is why lottery winners often lose their entire money or why people sabotage relationships when they start going too well. Now, what you believe you deserve dictates what you receive. Period. No exceptions. The universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you believe you're worthy of receiving. This belief system operates below the level of conscious awareness, which is why people can consciously want success while unconsciously believing that they don't deserve it. The unconscious belief always wins because it has more emotional charge and consistency. Now, self worth is built on self trust. Self trust is a currency that gets alchemized into unshakable conviction. When you trust yourself, you naturally feel worthy of good things because you know you can handle whatever comes your way. Self trust creates inner security, which allows you to receive abundance without the fear of losing it. Without self trust, you will unconsciously sabotage opportunities because you don't believe you can maintain them. So here's how you build self-trust through self-mastery. The consistent ability to exercise your will over your mind. This means choosing your thoughts, emotions, and responses rather than being controlled by them. Which just means you should not react to circumstances. You should not react to external circumstances because the moment you react, you give power to your external reality and you take away power from your internal reality, right? I've already made a video on how you should ascend your reactive self to make sure to check it out, right? So the next So next part of building self-trust is doing what you know you should do, following through on commitments to yourself even when you don't feel like it, and avoiding what you know you shouldn't do, and having the discipline to resist temptations and distractions that don't serve your highest good. This means stop doing bad habits and start doing what you say you will do, right? Now, every promise kept or broken affects your self trust. So, every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself is equal to deposit in your internal self trust bank, which is each kept promise strengthens your confidence in your own reliability and increases your sense of worthiness. Every time you break a promise to yourself, which means withdrawal from your self trust bank. But every time you break a promise to yourself, that means it is a withdrawal from your self trust bank. Each broken promise erodes your confidence and reinforces feelings of unworthiness and self doubt. Now, most people are spiritually bankrupt. They have been making withdrawals for years without deposits. They, they promise themselves they will exercise, eat better, save money, or pursue their dreams, but consistently break these promises. Over time, this creates a deep lack of self trust that manifests as low self worth and limited manifestation capability. They don't believe they deserve good things because they have proven themselves that they can't be trusted to do what's necessary to maintain them. So your mind cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. This can be a double-edged sword, right? So you can internally create emotional charged experiences that raise your self-worth regardless of external circumstances. This is one of the most powerful tools for transformation because it allows you to build worthiness through visualization and emotional conviction rather than waiting for external achievements. Your subconscious mind accepts vividly imagined experiences as real memories, which can reprogram your sense of what you deserve. So you can override your programming, override what you know, which overrides what you deserve, which overrides your self worth, which overrides your ceiling. This is the process of conscious reprogramming. By consistently feeding your subconscious mind new and empowering experiences, which can be real or imagined, you can literally rewire your internal operating system. What you know about yourself determines what you believe you deserve, which determines your self worth, which determines your ceiling for what's actually possible in your life. So there are two enemies for this delusional self-belief. The first enemy is your old frequency. Your old frequency is like a living entity, formed from years of past thoughts, emotions, and limiting beliefs with its own agenda, keeping you exactly where you are. This frequency has momentum and intelligence. It's been reinforced thousands of times through repetitive thinking and emotional patterns, making it feel more real than new possibilities. It fights for its survival because change threatens its existence. And your old frequency plays psychological chess games because it creates circumstances that trigger emotional reactions designed to pull you back into old patterns. Your old frequency knows exactly which buttons to push to get you back into familiar emotional states. It will manufacture crisis, create relationship drama, or bring up past failures at precisely the moments where you're building momentum towards change. And your old frequency whispers doubts disguised as rational thinking. It makes limiting beliefs sound logical and reasonable. Your old frequency is cunning because it doesn't sound like obvious negativity. Instead, it represents limitations as wisdom, which can be realistic. Don't get your hopes up. Remember what happened last time. Your old frequency uses statements like this as evidence for why your current dreams won't work. So the key to dealing with this is recognizing this voice is not you. It's just your old programming trying to survive. This voice feels like you because you have identified with it for so long, but it is actually just a collection of borrowed beliefs and past conditioning. The real you, which is the observer of these thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. Once you recognize the difference, you can choose which voice to listen to. Now, the second enemy for delusional self belief is realistic people. Now, they operate on a different frequency. They, these realistic people feel threatened by your expansion and will try to put you in a box. When you start operating from possibility consciousness, it threatens people who are invested in limitation consciousness. Your growth forces them to confront their own limitations, which makes them uncomfortable. Rather than examining their own beliefs, they will try to pull you down back to their level. They make you feel limited by others' achievements. They make you think what you can accomplish is restricted by what others have done. They will point to statistics, past failures, and realistic expectations to convince you that your dreams are just too big. They mistake the past for the future and use other people's limitations as evidence for your own. But past performance is not indicative of your future potential where consciousness shifts. They will call you delusional, unrealistic, or naive. They will ask for your backup plan or remind you of practical considerations. These people are so identified with limitation that they can't imagine operating any other way. They will disguise their fear as concern and their limitations as wisdom. They will demand that you have a plan B because they can't conceive of a plan A actually working. So, deviating from this a little bit, this is very true for my own family as well. My family and my loved ones always ask me to have a plan B because they don't think my plan A will work, right? So, in the past, they will literally force me to have a plan B, right? Now, it's not much of an issue, but when you're striving for big changes, when you're striving for big ambition of yours, these people will always ask for a plan B because they can't even comprehend that you can achieve what you're set to achieve, right? So back to the topic. So the vision you want to materialize cannot be seen by anyone except you. No one can see your vision because it exists in your own frequency. Your vision is born from your own consciousness, your desires, and your creative capacity. Other people can only see possibilities that exist within their own frequency range. Expecting others to validate a vision that transcends their consciousness is like expecting a radio to pick up TV signals, which it can't do, right? So, seeking external validation corrupts manifestation. Trying to make others understand your delusional vision will lower your frequency. When you seek validation from people who can't see what you see, you dilute your vision and weaken your conviction. You start explaining, justifying, and defending your dreams, which takes you out of the creative frequency and into the defensive frequency, which is not what we want, right? So, you must be selfish enough to prioritize your own frequency. You put your own energetic alignment over other people's comfort with your dreams. This is not about being inconsiderate, it's about protecting your creative vision from contamination. You must guard your frequency like a gardener guards seedlings from harsh weather. Other people's doubts and fears are energetic pollution that can kill your dreams before they have a chance to take root. Now let's talk about the 5 step process to cultivate delusional self-belief. So step 1 is to refine your perception. Your perception equals your projection. What you perceive internally gets projected as your external reality. Your perception is like a filter that determines what you notice, how you interpret events, and what possibilities you can see. If your perception is colored by limitation, you will project and experience limitation. If your perception is colored by possibility, you will project and experience possibilities, right? If your current perception doesn't serve you, it controls you. By continually proving your limited beliefs right, your perception becomes a self fulfilling prophecy that creates evidence for whatever you believe. If you perceive the world as hostile, you will notice every slight and overlook every kindness. If you perceive the world as abundant, you will notice every opportunity and overlook every limitation. So you must change how you look at life. For life to change how it looks at you, this requires conscious effort to shift your perceptual filters. Start looking for evidence of what you want to be true rather than evidence of what you fear might be true. Train yourself to interpret neutral events in empowering ways rather than disempowering ways. So even if it is a neutral situation, think of it in a positive, empowering way rather than negative way, right? So that you can keep feeding your subconscious this new empowering belief rather than limiting beliefs, right? Step 2 is to internalize emotionally charged thoughts. So, only emotionally charged thoughts create reality. Thoughts without emotion have no creative power. Emotion is what gives life to your own thoughts and transforms them in from mental activity into creative force. So, a thought emitted with intense emotion becomes a belief. A belief held with consistent emotion becomes an identity. An identity embodied with passionate emotion becomes a reality, right? So displace old programming create more emotional charge, more powerful emotional charge. So your subconscious mind is programmed by repetition and emotional intensity. To override your old programming, you need to create new experiences that are more emotionally compelling than the old ones. This requires deliberate emotional cultivation through visualization, affirmation, and imagination. So you must experience your desired reality internally, intensely, and vividly until it feels more real than your current circumstances. Use all your senses to create internal experiences of already having what you want. Feel the emotions, see the scenes, hear the sounds, and smell the scents. The more vivid and emotionally intense these internal experiences are, the more powerfully they program your subconscious mind for manifestation. The third step is to deny logic and evidence. When your mind asks how or when, mentally declare, it's not for me to worry about. Your finite mind cannot comprehend infinite possibilities. The how is the universe department, not yours. Your job is to maintain the vision and the feeling. The universe's job is to orchestrate the manifestation. When you try to figure out the how, you limit the universe to only the possibilities that your own rational mind can conceive, which is not what we want, right? Your finite mind cannot comprehend infinite ways that your desire can materialize. Get it through your head, right? The universe has access to infinite intelligence, infinite resources, and infinite creativity. Your logical mind operates from past experience and known patterns, can only imagine limited possibilities. When you insist on understanding the how, you block the universe from delivering your desire in ways that transcend your imagination. And next, looking for external evidence indicates lack of confidence. So stop seeking proof and focus on feeling. When you constantly look for evidence that your manifestation is working, you're actually affirming that you don't have it yet. This, this focus on lack perpetuates more lack. True confidence doesn't need external validation because it is rooted in inner knowing rather than outer proof. So focus on feeling the emotions of your desired reality now, regardless of your current circumstances. This the feeling is what magnetizes your desire to you. When you can feel genuinely abundant while looking at an empty bank account, you are operating from true creative power. When you can feel deeply loved while single, you are emanating a frequency that attracts love. The feeling must come first, then the evidence will follow. Right? So before external reality can prove it to you, you must prove it to yourself. Right? And the fourth step is to embrace normality of your desires. So whatever you find normal forms your frequency base and will materialize in your reality. So your sense of normal is your comfort zone and your reality will always gravitate towards what it feels normal to go. And your reality will always gravitate towards what feels normal to you. If struggle feels normal, you will create more struggle. If ease feels normal, you will create more ease. If abundance feels normal, you will create more abundance. So, to manifest something, you must downgrade it from special to normal, like breathing, completely taken for granted. When you make your desires feel special or extraordinary, you create energetic distance between yourself and them. But when you make them feel normal and expected, you collapse that distance. Take wealth, love, success, and joy for granted as your natural birthright rather than special achievements. Right? So, giving too much importance creates energetic space between you and your desire. Importance creates desperation, and desperation repels what you want. When you make something too important, you are saying, I don't have this and I need it desperately, which is exactly the vibration that prevents you from receiving, which is exactly the vibration that prevents you from receiving it. Importance is a form of attachment that creates resistance. So take your desired reality for granted as something that is already yours. This is the ultimate state of manifestation when your desire feels so natural and inevitable that you don't even think about it anymore. You don't wake up you don't wake up grateful for gravity or celebrate the fact that your heart is beating. Right? You don't feel grateful for breathing, right? So your biggest manifestations should feel equally natural and automatic. And the fifth step is to cultivate self discipline and inner peace. A lazy consciousness reflects into lazy reality. Your internal state determines your external experience. So, if your consciousness is undisciplined, scattered, and reactive, your reality will be chaotic and unfocused. If your consciousness is disciplined, focused, and peaceful, your reality will be harmonious and abundant. Consciousness creates reality, so the quality of your consciousness determines your quality of life. So, discipline is crucial for controlling mind, emotions, and frequency. Mental discipline creates energetic discipline. Without discipline, you are at the mercy of whatever thoughts and emotions arise randomly. With discipline, you become the master of your internal world, which makes you the master of your external world. Discipline isn't about force, it's about consistent choice in favor of your highest good. So, achieve a state of peace, bliss, relaxation, and unity before you can receive your desired reality. This is a state of consciousness that is naturally magnetic to all good things. When you are in a state of inner peace and fulfillment, you are not trying to get anything from the outside world to feel complete. This removes the neediness that repels desires and creates the satisfaction that attracts them. So clean up your chaotic mind, reduce your overthinking, stop the mental chatter that creates confusion and anxiety. Practice meditation, mindfulness, or any technique that helps you observe your thoughts without being consumed by them. And stop internal dialogue that leads to self sabotage. Become aware of your voice in your head that talks you out of your dreams and argues for your limitations. Choose to listen to that voice that encourages and empowers you instead. And silence is a mental noise that creates resistance. Mental noise is anything that takes you out of the present moment and into worry, doubt, or fear. This noise creates static in your manifestation frequency and blocks clear reception of your desires. So now you know how to build up this delusional self belief that will help you manifest whatever you want in life. Now let's talk about the beautiful paradox. When you truly become delusional about your potential, you align with the 99.965% of reality that most people can't see. This paradox reveals what society calls delusional is actually the most grounded perspective possible. You are not losing touch with reality. You are touching a deeper, more fundamental reality that underlies all physical appearances. This is the realm where all creation begins, the field of pure potential that quantum physicists are now discovering. And you become the most realistic person in the room because you are working with actual universal laws instead of artificial limitations of collective human consciousness. While others are limited by what has been done before, you are operating from what's possible now. While others are constrained by consensus reality, you are creating from infinite possibility. This makes you more realistic, not less, because you are dealing with reality's true nature rather than its surface appearances. So you stop trying to figure out the how and start trusting infinite intelligence that spins planets and grows trees to handle the details. The same intelligence that orchestrates the movement of galaxies and the cycles of nature is available to orchestrate the manifestations of your desire. When you stop trying to micromanage the universe and start trusting its perfect intelligence, miracles become natural occurrences. And you need to stop needing external validation as well, like we talked about. And you need to stop being realistic about your limitations, which is already we talked about. And this is when magic happens. Not because you've lost touch with reality, but because you have finally touched the reality that has been waiting for you. Magic is not about the violation of natural law, it is the application of higher neutral laws that most people don't even understand. When you align with these higher laws, what appears impossible to others becomes inevitable to you. So, this is the reality where you are the creator, not the victim. In this reality, you recognize that everything you experience is the result of your own consciousness, not the cause of it. You stop reacting to circumstances as if they're happening to you and start creating circumstances as if they're happening through you. This shift from victim to creator is the ultimate liberation, right? So this is a reality where your delusions become inevitable outcomes because they are aligned with higher universal laws. When your desires are rooted in love, growth, and service rather than fear, lack, and ego, they become expressions of the universe's natural tendency towards expansion and evolution. What others see as impossible dreams, you recognize as the universe intentions expressing through you, right? So the question is simple. Are you ready to be delusional enough to claim your power? The question cuts through all the spiritual bypassing and philosophical discussion to the heart of the matter. Are you willing to believe in yourself even when no one else does? Are you willing to trust your vision when it seems impossible? Are you willing to bet everything on your potential rather than your limitations? Or will you stay realistic and keep getting realistic results? The choice is yours. It always has been. You can continue to limit yourself to what seems safe and reasonable, or you can step into unknown territory of infinite possibility and achieve unrealistic and crazy feats. One path leads to predictable mediocrity, and the other leads to an extraordinary transformation. The universe is waiting to see which option you will choose. And I will see you in another video.